Good evening. Welcome to this edition of How Coaching Unlimited Helps Coaches Build a Successful Coaching Business. So, today we are really going to explore two themes: mastery in coaching and building a successful coaching business. Now, both of them are often looked at as separate pursuits, but they are really two sides of the same coin. And we have two wonderful speakers with us who need no introduction: Subash and PK Narayanan. Nevertheless, I'll give a brief intro. Subash is an ICF Master Certified Coach, ICF trainer, mentor, and a certified healer. And he's also the founder of Regal Unlimited. He is a leadership coach who works primarily with CXOs and founders and help them lead with clarity. We have our next speaker is PK, and he has totally 30 years of experience with his consulting and coaching practice together. He's an ICF PCC, and he's a CEO coach, working primarily with the CEOs and founders and helping them scale their leadership impact. So I'm grateful to all the audience for providing your time on this midweek session. I know it's not easy. Thank you so much for that. And welcome, Subash and PK. I want to jump into this conversation with a question to Subash, really about, mastery in coaching. Because often the word mastery, can be quite intimidating. So how would you define mastery in coaching, and what is it that as coaches we need to focus on to get to that place?
Lavanya, as a lifelong student of marketing and sales, for me, you can only sell a good product, right? You can't sell a bad product over a period of time for sure. So becoming a good product from a sales and marketing point of view, it becomes absolutely imperative that I coach well, right? I coach well so that a client gets consistently good experience session after session. To that extent, it becomes important for us to move towards mastery. Now, mastery is not a destination, and for me, I realized this at the starting of my MCC journey, and I don't know. Some of friends here know I did not clear my MCC in my first attempt. Both my recordings were shot down, though I thought they were great recordings, but it still got rejected. So it was a check for me, right? Check of my at a being level, because it was a failure coming in after a very long time in life. So I had to get adjusted to that. Then after the second attempt, it got cleared and I got my MCC. Then I realized how much is there to learn. So for me, the mastery starts after your credential. Credential is the only, and it doesn't matter ACC or any other credential, including MCC. No MCC can guarantee that I can coach at a mastery level session after session. ACC credential coach might be able to do that better. Yeah, I'm very aware of that. I'm saying that with all humility. So, mastery is about, am I moving towards that energy and consciousness where I'm able to partner with the client, right? That is the essence of coaching, we all know, in a way that client also moves towards their North Star, like what Yatish's background is. Truly, absolutely brilliant North Star. That is mastery. Yeah. Did I answer that part of your question or anything follow up?
Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your experience with so much vulnerability, Subash. Because my follow-up question was that, what did you focus on as you were working towards, the mastery in coaching? Though from what you're explaining, it seems like it's not really a destination, but it's a lifelong learning.
Yeah. So it's a lifelong journey and learning even now, right? This is after 2 cycles of renewal of my MCC. I got my MCC in 2019. One of the mentors at the beginning of MCC said, MCC journey is about mastery for sure, Mastery is about having a deep conversation between two best friends, right? So for me, that kind of crack a lot of things, right? Can I sit with my client on an adult to adult basis, equal basis, and have a very deep conversation, not a coffee table conversation, right? The other metaphor that we use. So to that extent, that became an indicator for me to work towards. Right. So, the adult to adult, as you said in my intro, I work with CXOs. Almost 80% of them are far more accomplished than me professionally. Right. They're truly reached that level. No, I didn't, I kind of left from that rat race to become a coach. So, to bring them to adult itself is a challenge. And these are all successful leaders. Coming to the session saying that what can this guy do to me, right? So from that point of view, elevating the conversation to a level between two best friends, right from the chemistry session, it doesn't happen from the first session, because if we don't crack it in chemistry session, the engagement may not happen, right? I mean, the expert is PK to touch upon chemistry, but I'm saying that's where it starts, then building on it consistently, number one. Number two, this remains more reflective after, after credential and practice. This journey doesn't stop being reflective. So after every session, I'm stepping back and checking 5-10 minutes, thinking that, what went right, what went wrong. Make a note of it. The journaling, which is something I propagate aggressively in our community. So making reflective. And it is not about attending courses and gaining more certifications that will lead me to mastery. I always see that as a distraction, and PK and me are on the same page on that. Just accumulating certification is a distraction for me. By going deeper, like what I did was, I went for senior practitioner at TMCC, stopped there. I didn't go for the next master practitioner. Went for an ICF assessor training because I still wanted to learn something. Right? Assessor training was critical for me in my mentoring. So when I learned, then when I practiced as a coach, then when I am teaching and mentoring aspiring coaches, it all comes together, right? I mean, there are multiple pointers that somehow falls in place. And frankly, last point, some of these webinars also, the last conversation with Anand, I had a aha moment in the session when I highlighted in that about the journey, right? Including this conversation, right? So there is something that perhaps the universe is always challenging you in a way that, it's like you hit the nail, you keep on shaking whether it is going in, right? Similarly, every step you are facing certain challenges and difficulties, but then am I aware to look at it from that perspective, take the lessons and move forward, right? And that's what the journey towards mastery is. And I know this will continue till end of my life, right? It doesn't stop even if I stop coaching tomorrow, because that is what embodying coaching mindset is, CC2.
Well said, Subash. So, you talked about how all of these three different things come together for you, right? As a trainer, as a mentor, and as a coach. So, for coaches who are either starting their journey or who are somewhere, mid, like doing their PCC, how does coaching, supervision, mentoring, and self awareness help them develop this mastery even more?
For me, it's about setting that goal of becoming a master in the art or in the craft. I don't know how many of us set that as a goal, right? For example, I moved to this place after 2 decades in banking. I was very clear that this is not my retirement activity. This is going to be my legacy. This I decided in 2012 when I started this. And some of the stuff that I do is in that direction too. It's not just about being a successful coach and making some money and moving on, right? It's about what I'm giving back to the profession. So that is about setting the audacious goal of where I want to be at the end of this journey. That is number one, setting that goal, right? Number two, then being consistently on that on a day-to-day basis. There is no shortcut to that. So the reflective part of the journey and other practices will help. Now, when you asked about three things, right? Mentoring, supervision, and what is the third one?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. So there is no mastery without self-awareness.
Mhm.
Absolutely, there is no mastery. So that is done, right? There is no, and you have to pick up practices that will help you in that direction. And again, at the cost of repetition, I say that the Carnatic vocal music that I am learning with all the difficulty for somebody who's just zero gifted as a singer. And I know I'm a bad singer, but that process, that structure, and it's all Carnatic music is all about God's names, right? So it's also sadhana. So how it helps me to move ahead. That is one. Yoga, for example. I saw yesterday's newspaper, I think, you can't solve mental problems on the yoga mat. I just saw the headline no, in Mint newspaper. I said, no, that was my first reaction. You can solve a lot of stuff on the yoga mat. Right? So the point is then what are those practices that are personal to me? Now, what yoga does to me may not work for you or somebody else. That's why I always say, pick up one or two things, and what PK does brilliantly, day in and day out, practice that consistency and discipline. Even I am not as disciplined as PK in this matter, because I know PK well enough now. So then it is about picking up two, three practices, even one. Can you make it a daily sadhana? You don't forgo prayer a day if you are not well, right? You do it. You turn up, right? Because God is waiting. That is the assumption. Yeah, so
I
it is
agree.
about consistency in practice.
Practice.
Supervision, not so much. So I am not a big fan of supervision. Mentoring, for those of us who are mentors, right? And if you you have a problem, you have a challenge, just have a quick chat with your mentors, your ACC, PCC mentors, good enough. Or there are senior coaches in the community with whom you connect, you resonate, connect with them for a mentoring call. Don't
Mm.
complicate that part also, because just as coaching is about finding answers within, as a coach, you have to find more answers within,
Mm.
not go
Mhm.
to a third person including mentor, right? Because a lot of things that I say, I always have this consistent disclaimer in our training session. You would have heard that this is not carved in stone, because I am curious what is behind that, what is beyond hashtag, right? I keep using it. So
Yeah.
just self-awareness gives you that also.
Right.
That's why it
Yep.
is a powerful tool. Yeah, somebody
Yes.
raised a hand, huh? I just saw a hand coming up.
Did someone have a question?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, couple of takeaways from there, Subash: consistency, and in your practice, and searching for answers from within, and of course, reaching out to mentors in the community. In case we run into any difficulties. Great, thank you. I want to bring in PK into this conversation. PK, I know you are super passionate about building a successful coaching practice. So I want to ask you, what is it that a coach truly needs to focus on in order to build that thriving practice? Where would we need to start?
Thank you, Lavanya. In my view, the most important aspect to focus on is positioning. Like any other business, even coaches needs to be positioned. And here, trivia is that in any case, you are positioned. Whether we do it consciously or by accident is the only question. So, positioning ourselves in a way to serve a specific segment of society in a particular way in relation to certain aspects of their life or work or anything associated with them at a particular price point. So this is in the nutshell what is positioning. It's a conscious process. If we do it deliberately, there are dividends to reap. But again, I repeat, in any case, you are positioned in the market. Significantly, lesser significantly, or insignificantly is the only question. Yeah, there we, as coaches, we have a possibility to position ourselves in a more deliberate way. So it's a consequence of choosing where to play and how to play. So therefore, in business language, it is strategic, but we can make it quite simple. And in practical terms, positioning refers to the process of creating that unique and favorable perception of our service in the minds of target customers. So, who are the target customers? Where to find them? How to present ourselves to them? How to convince them? How to do business? That's all it involves. Simple steps. But as Steve Jobs says, simple things are not that simple. It involves a bit of deliberate action. And that is where I am encouraging all the coaches to spend some time before jumping into the pool, deciding which pools to jump into. That makes sense. And why positioning? You may ask, why is it important to do that even before you start really starting the coaching as a business or building the coaching business? Because to be successful, you need a target audience. Your network and known people can't keep you fulfilled forever. You need to attract strangers. So positioning helps to stand out and get noticed in a crowded market, especially. Attract and retain the right customers, build the trust, being seen consistently there, building a brand, and commanding a fair price, even a premium. If you are good at what you are doing for that segment, they will be willing even to pay you a premium over others. And that will drive the revenue growth anyway. So that is where somebody becomes commercially successful. Yeah. So positioning helps clients see, find us, and choose us. We need to, I always say this, you would have heard probably in Coaching Unlimited also, we need to help the clients or the prospects at that stage. We need to help our prospects to find us. We need to help them to find us. Positioning helps do that. Yeah. So, yes, that's it. In a single word, it is positioning to answer your question. Where the focus should be, positioning.
Mm-hmm. I think often the counter argument, I hear what you're saying, and often the counter argument is, oh, why would I want to make my pie smaller, right? Why would I want to make the pool of people that I want to attract itself smaller? Well, what do you say for such things?
See, how is the straw when you are drinking a glass of juice or something like that? How is the straw? Is it small, narrow, or is it big?
Yeah, quite narrow.
And when you are going to drink from a vessel, can you just consume from the vessel, or you will use a straw type thing?
Yeah, great analogy there.
Anyway, okay. Coming to the point, the funnel mouth, if it is too big, one is that people will be wondering who needs to enter that. We will be wondering without entering because it is so big. As a customer, I would be confused. I wouldn't enter. But if it is a very well-defined narrow pipe and it resonates with me as a prospect, I may try enter and see what is there.
Yeah.
So having a funnel mouth big doesn't ensure success in any stretch of imagination.
Yeah. And you also touched upon that we need to make it easier for our prospects or clients to find us, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
See, as a prospect, they are also constantly in the lookout for a service provider. As much as we are in search of prospects, prospects also are searching for finding a good coach. So when they search, are they able to find me? My only question in my marketing and visibility is that when my prospect searches, which is a narrow band of people, CEOs and founder CEOs, professional CEOs, founder CEOs of a particular revenue. I mean, I operate in 100 to 3,000 crores. So I need to just focus on them. And all my writings are relevant to them. All my posts, LinkedIn or any other social media, is on them or about their situations or about things that they are searching for. My website talks only about that. Anything that I do, my podcast, my videos, 60 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds videos, everything is about that particular segment. So after a point in time, they can't miss me. That is what is needed. A short number of people can't miss you. You should be visible to them in some form or the other. People consume, today everything is omni-channel. People have different ways of consuming content. Some like audio, some like video, some like reading. Some are in one social media platform, somebody else is in something else. Somebody relies on Google search, somebody does searches in ChatGPT. Fine. I'm not saying that day one we need to be everywhere. We don't need to be everywhere. But we need to be there where they are likely to be there. You can have a matrix, high probability areas where you find your customers, you can be there. Now comes your bigger mouth issue. If the funnel mouth is too big, where would you be there? If the entire Bangalore is your possible prospect, where would you stand? And where would you market yourself?
Yeah.
So that is about helping them to find us. So helping them to find us is that we need to be there where they are searching. We need to be there where they are checking. Then we are helping them to find us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, me in Bangalore, 18 million people, 1 PK, insignificant. Nobody will find me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. That makes so much sense. Thank you, PK. And from your personal journey, at what point in time did you make this shift, or did you start out like this, or did you make a shift at some point in time in your personal journey? Can you give us some insight into that?
Whether the shift happened right from the beginning, I would say there were two significant points in my journey. The one was the starting of coaching business, 1st January 2013, where I was moving from consulting to coaching. So I was already doing 10 years of consulting, familiar with the terrain of SMEs, small medium enterprises, and their growth stories, working hands-on with them and their leadership teams. So that was 10 years of 2003 to 13. And 2003 to 2012, but when I moved to coaching, it happened as if, we downed the shutter on the consulting business and opened the shutter on coaching business. Whether this happened that day, yes. The two areas that I was coaching was there right from the day one in my website. That is the scaling up coaching for SMEs and leadership presence and leadership impact coaching for CEOs. And those two stayed exactly the same until 2025. And late last year, I discontinued one of them. And now I am focusing only one out of the two.
Okay.
Even further narrowed. So what happens is that most of the people entering the funnel mouth, like a pipe that you mentioned earlier, that passes through. There is no filter or the funnel concept that we have. So many people come there and then a narrow strip falls down. Being a solopreneur, we can't afford that. We can't service this many people for prospecting, and then they filter down, filter down, filter down, and a narrow piece falls through the funnel. That way, that might not be a constructive use of our time either. So the moment we start checking at the entry itself what kind of people that we want to coach, it becomes easier. So to answer your question, yes, it stayed for 12 years, my areas, and now it has further narrowed down further. Yeah, one from the two.
Okay, all right. So I think,
And having said that,
yeah.
was this was the first transition easier? I think the first transition was easier. It was smoother. That is from consulting to those two areas of coaching. Actually, as I speak, last 6 months to 8 months, I am absolutely out of my comfort zone, and I am absolutely out there. I have still not figured out completely that I'm still in transition, because discontinuing one product line completely, my website had two products. If you have seen earlier in the homepage itself, there were two products. Now there is only one. So that is never easy, and I'm not in comfort zone yet with this.
Okay. Okay. So is that like a mindset change? What is it?
It is a mindset, not a change. It's a mindset that we need to carry. That I'm going to focus only on something that I think I will do the best way. The other day, just to put it in perspective, the other day, Team Cook, around I think 2-3 months back, if you check the news items, you will get this. Tim Cook, in one of the conferences, he was asked why Apple is doing only very, very few products. As products, there are only some, I think, 3 or 4, 5 products. So Tim Cook said, as an answer, that Apple can do many things well. Many, many things Apple can do well. But only few things Apple can do extremely well. And we have chosen right from the beginning to do only those. So I think that is the mindset. I mean, is it that I cannot coach anyone? Probably theoretically I can coach anyone. That is what the mindset, or the kind of belief that we leave our coaching school. We can coach anybody under the sun. But marketplace doesn't work like that. So that reality, it takes some time and effort to understand the reality. And by then, most of the damage is already done. If we were to learn it ourselves through practice, I mean, that it can be quite strenuous, can be quite stressful. So it is better to start with some area that we are familiar with, the terrain that we are familiar with, and where we think we resonate emotionally and intellectually, and then start with them. I can assure you one thing, you need to go with an abundant mindset. In this world, any segment that you choose, even why world, India, why India, in Bangalore, if you choose any segment, there are enough and more prospects. Any segment you take, even MLAs you take, there are 200 plus. So any segment you take, you have enough people to serve, provided you look attractive for them.
Yeah. 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 That's the eventual goal. Figure out the positioning and, make yourself attractive for those prospects. Yeah. I just now want to bring in both these themes together, and maybe I'll go with you, PK. I want to, how did you merge this mastery in coaching and being successful in having a successful coaching practice? How did you weave them together in your personal journey?
That's a brilliant question. As Subash started, you can sell only a good product. No two questions about it. You need to be the best that you can be in the craft. Then only everything else works. So how did I have the craft, from time to time, I keep visiting, revisiting, learning the craft. Even Coaching Unlimited, to put it in perspective, I pushed Subash to have a refresher for people like us. I was 8 years into coaching already, doing well, no issues. Clients are all happy, a lot of testimonials, 90 plus, Google reviews, 5-star, everything is there. But still, I was feeling that I need to sharpen my axe, sharpen my tool, which is coaching. So I pushed and pushed and pushed, and we had the first session. I think Lata is here. She was there in the first session. So that is one area. We need to keep investing ourselves into the core, into the skill. And I always have this. Today I had read in the morning. So this is my laminated core competencies as well as the marker sheets, which is there on my table always. So I keep reading it every day. And that way it becomes part of you. It's like brushing every day, our teeth, so that it is healthy. So reading this core competency, just read it. No big, complex, sophisticated reflection or any damn thing. I mean, just read it. That is my practice. Just read it. It goes and it happens over the other time, whatever cooking has to happen. So just read the competencies, just read the PCC markers every day. That is the food for your craft. And you need to be at your best in terms of craft. So you need to know what is 7.5, what is 5.5, so that you are able to get it when you want it the most. So no compromise on that. We need to be best in the craft.
Yeah. So is that one of the practices, like reading the competencies on an everyday basis? Subash mentioned that, you have certain practices that you follow to the T, and is this one of the practices?
Absolutely. That is why it is on my table. So it is here. So it is, I go through that every day. And, is that alone is enough? Not enough. We need to practice it. So when we have coaching mindset, for example, growth mindset, learning mindset, abundance mindset. So all of that we need to bring into practice. Even presence, CC5. We can practice presence anywhere. Yeah. So if it is not just in the coaching coaching area, just for the sake of, since you asked about the practice, I will just try to explain what I'm trying to say. Coaching presence, for example, I mean, we learn it as a core competency and we try to learn it through practice in coaching sessions. But one of the aspects that is always available for us is that to practice it all the time, even outside the coaching time, so that while in coaching, you don't need to really struggle for it. It just becomes natural. If you read coach maintaining presence, it is just about remaining focused, remaining observant, remaining empathetic, remaining responsive to the other. Can't we do all these things all the time? And demonstrating curiosity, can't we do that all the time? Manages one's emotions to stay present, can't we do that all the time? Demonstrates confidence in working with strong client emotions. Can't we do that when somebody else gets emotional in our conversations? So, and being comfortable in a space of not knowing, can't we do that? Can't we be true to ourselves during other times? So there is no effort really to be present while coaching if you are present all the time. So these are the takeaways for me as perfecting the craft. And then, of course, what Subash mentioned was more of business related of course, my digital presence, my blogs, my podcasts, my videos, my other things, my this, my that, whatever I have chosen to do. Yes, yeah, that we need to do every day, or every
Okay.
every month, whatever we are committed to.
Yeah.
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 I'll just add, Lavanya, I'll come
Sure.
in button. So there's something that PK does every Monday morning. Okay, every Monday morning. And incidentally, I'm part of his list. And this is something we joke. I don't know why I'm part of his list. This Monday, both of us are together outside Bangalore, both families. I still get that Monday morning message. That is the discipline that I speak of. That's why I say that,
Mm.
no, I wouldn't have done that perhaps, right? And this is a very small thing, one of the minor things that he does. So then, also going back to how do people find, there is no escape. Your target audience will find you when you're consistent and focused, right? In the service of the client. Yeah.
Mm.
Ravani, also there's a question from Ankur. Ankur,
Okay.
did your question answer, or if you still have that? The question is, how long did it take for your PK to make your positioning in the market? So that
I
customers started finding you. Ankur, go ahead.
Hi, hi Subash, hi PK.
Yeah, Ankur, not
Is the
able to
question
hear.
answered, Ankur, or if you still have a follow-up question, we can ask on that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hello.
Ankur, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I
so
think
maybe
so.
his audio is a problem.
Yeah.
PK, I mean, if I understood, when did customers start finding you? Based on the, you said 1st January 2013 you started coaching. I'm simplifying it. When did people started reaching out to you, started discovering you for coaching?
Yeah, it's a process. It won't probably happen from day one, but we need to be consistent from day one. Then, depending on the market size and the target audience and what kind of people are they, it may take a few months, maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, maybe even a year, until when you can probably search through your own network and your own contacts and low hanging apples, and and by then you will start having some flow and some inbound traffic, and you may have to supplement it with some search engine optimization and things like that. These are all not very sophisticated, not very expensive. And I don't do any ads. I have never done any ads, whether it is Google or Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads. I don't do it. I have done it for a few weeks, months, and it doesn't yield in my case, so I don't. But it doesn't mean that ads are not required for any target segment. For my target segment, it is not working. So again, it requires some trial and error, some reading, some learning, some unlearning, and then you will figure out. In a year's time, you can definitely stabilize.
And I
Positioning will
think,
start working from month 3 or month 6,
yeah.
generally.
Yeah. And I think there's one follow-up from Ankur is, did you experiment with the target audience and then finalize on the current target audience? Or, I think you
There is no
answered it.
there
Yeah.
is no finalization. Even today, I am experimenting. There is no finalization. We never reach there.
Mm.
We keep doing things, fine tuning things, keep doing things, fine tuning things, learn, fine tune, learn, fine tune. It is a constant engagement. Business of coaching is a constant engagement with the business.
Mm.
It is total involvement and total engagement without attachment.
Mm.
Because if you get yourself attached, even in coaching sessions, it will start appearing. You will at some time you will let it out. So I mean, my learning is that we need to be completely engaged, totally involved, and we need to keep experimenting things, what works, and do more of what works and do less of what doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. And just following up with the CC5, maintaining presence, I think probably as a beginner coach myself, how do you know when you are truly present or when you're just, performing presence? Like, I know we all have that certain amount of self-awareness to get to know, but I'm just curious from your point of view, how do you view it, PK?
Client knows. um, how do we know? We also know. I think we need to observe. We need to be present to know that we are lacking it. Client will know when you have taken a flight. Anyone for that matter knows. Not just client. Anyone that you are interacting with, even he be or she be a security guard, they figure out when you are there and when you are not there. So I feel it's less of a challenge, but I would encourage all of us to practice presence elsewhere. Then I don't think it is important to check that while you are on coaching. It happens.
So practicing, that's what you meant by practicing presence everywhere, so that it just becomes your natural way of doing it when you are also coaching a client. I think that's what you're meaning.
Absolutely. Lavanya, did you feel the taste of paste in your mouth when you are brushing?
No, not that I remember.
That is a good starting point, because we need to taste the paste. It has a taste, by the way. Yeah. All pastes are not same. Paste has a taste. That is what I mean by presence. Just when you are taking it, what is the shape in which you have taken it? Be there wherever you are. Just be there.
Okay.
And while brushing, while shitting, I'm not joking. Just be there.
Yeah.
It's a process. And just be there wherever you are.
Yeah. Sure.
While eating, while drinking water, can you feel it? So, have you tasted water recently? So these are the questions to ask. The coaching is not rocket science. Coaching is very basic things. And by the way, mastery is getting the basics right. So mastery is getting the basics right.
Yep.
And those are the small things. And when you pass the security gate, have you noticed who is on the shift today? And making an eye contact with him.
Yeah.
So these kinds of things, that matters. Then when coachee also appears in front of you, it is just another moment where you are present.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, PK. Subash, I'm just going to bring you into the conversation since we are discussing.
Question, Lavanya.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
should take that. Very, very good question from Swakata. How do you find your niche, PK?
There are some, there is a science, there is a process behind that. It will be, I think there is a way of finding the niche. There are some methods of, there are different methods of finding the niche. One can figure out the methods by searching the net. Or if we want a particular way of finding the niche for coaching and the way that we do, of course, one whole day in Coaching Unlimited is dedicated to finding everyone's niche. By the end of the day, everyone gets a hang of what is their niche. There is a process that we follow, and it is a day-long process in Coaching Unlimited. And the next day we refine it further and almost finalize the niche, still not fully, because it takes a little more inquiry and validation and discovery and things like that. So there are ways and means of finding the niche, which is important. I think that is as important as starting a startup. So if someone says, I have started a startup, is that complete sentence? Then you definitely ask, in which area, which domain, what you do. And coaching niche is as important as that. Otherwise, it is just like starting a startup.
Does that answer your question, Swagata?
Yes, it does to a larger extent. So now, since PK, you are mentioning about coaching unlimited, how would somebody go for that to understand? Because just a brief about me, I am an ACC certified coach. And obviously, as you are pointing it out, right, like somebody needs to be dedicated. I am making myself dedicated in terms of like, writing blogs and releasing podcasts every Monday morning, 9 a.m. I posts, on LinkedIn. I have been doing that consistently from last 12 weeks and I'm not missing a day. I miss my night, like sleeps overnight, like, but I make sure that Monday 9 a.m. it has to go live, right? So I schedule the post Sunday night. I'm doing all of that, and I understand that it's a process. Everything needs discipline. I totally get that. So I need help in finding my niche because somebody recently asked me that what type of coaching you do, and I said leadership, and that seems very vague. Even I'm not convinced on that. So I need help on that.
Yeah, that is true. Unfortunately, the training doesn't contain any course or any direction towards how to set up a business. Unfortunately, any coach, in my view, my personal opinion, every coach training, every coach needs to be sanitized with doing business. Otherwise, they are just getting qualified and lost. I think that is a big gap there. I mean, some responsible people may look at it, but we are nobody to really address that. In our own way, we are trying to address it. That is what this initiative is all about, and we all deserve it. I mean, as I say this, it shouldn't be available only to people who are paying and coming for coaching unlimited. I mean, as a coach, I feel all the coaches should be exposed to finding their niche before they get qualified.
Okay.
That is ideal situation.
On the other question of where to find,
Sorry, Subash. Um, it is otherwise just like filling the gas and driving. And even that is okay if you are not destined to arrive anywhere. But you may be destined not to arrive anywhere. But how can we expect that from a fellow passenger?
I get that. Okay.
So,
I want to add one point, Sir Lavanya. One is, I know I don't want to discourage you from what you're doing. Social media post by itself will not give you leads. When you have a positioning, when you have a niche, and then you are backing it up with social media, that's where you will, only then it will generate leads. PK and I have discussed this. We are active, both of us are active on social media, especially LinkedIn. We are there because if somebody wants to come and check about us, they know who we are. It's more a sanity check, like the KYC banks do. But by itself, that may not be enough for lead generation of the right prospect, the right category of client, especially the right category of clients. Unfortunately, social media generates more unrelated prospects than the real prospects that you can serve to your best. So then it still goes back to positioning and finding a niche. Yes. Back to Lavanya.
sure. Thanks, Subash. I'm just going to digress and go back to core competencies because I want to hear from you, Subash, especially about the CC8, which is facilitating the client growth, right? Because we all know coaching is a two-way street. We bring in the awareness, the client becomes aware, but so many times they don't necessarily follow it up with actions.
Okay.
What are the patterns that you have seen, in your coaching journey where the clients truly action on what they have committed to and stay accountable?
Yeah. First of all, I am very convinced, coming from sales and then P&L experience, that only action define outcomes. So I'm very uncluttered on that, right? That's why one of my most popular books is Act Like a Leader, Think Like a Leader by our professor INSEAD, Professor Ibarra, right? So we waste time thinking about action and not actually acting upon. So that my obsession. So which I make clear in my chemistry session, saying that the real outcome of the coaching engagement will depend on how committed you are to the action. And I back it with some real life examples where people have actually benefited from being compliant. And some there are some great stories that some you would have also heard. And if I find client not acting upon, I raise the red card, yellow card, and then red card, right? So I keep that momentum pressure throughout my engagement with any client, because I am very clear that if the client doesn't stick to the action, client don't get achieve the goals, it is going to affect my profile, my resume. Why should I take that risk? I earn my bread and butter from coaching. No, I don't have the luxury. I'm very clear. So that is my conviction about the action and communicating that regularly, right? In extreme cases where the client is not acting upon, I offer exit, and that threat normally works, right? Or also bring in the stakeholder that about the action. So Sam, Dam, Dan, Beth, everything I try to make the client action oriented. Number two, I firmly believe the client pays us for the action. Right? I'm serving the client if the client walks away with the action. And it is not easy, because if the client was capable of doing it themselves, they don't need us as coaches. It's that unconditional regard that the client has a struggle consciously, subconsciously to take actions. That's why they are also finding us, right? So, that partnering continues into CC8 and beyond. Yeah. So even if the client doesn't succeed in action or has some challenges, I'm still open and empathetic to that in a partnering way to nudge them towards the action. Another very important point is also, and this is more for us coaches here, while I can say the client pays for the action, which is the end of the conversation, that action actually starts with the goal for the session. Why I stress so much on CC 3.1 as so critical about a conversation, the goal behind the goal or any variant thereof. Because the client invariably comes into the conversation talking about the symptom, right? Today, you asked me at the beginning of the conversation what happened. So I know about the symptoms that is showing up on my body. But I don't know what is beyond that. The awareness as a coach opens to the possibility that beyond this one or two physical symptoms, there could be something which I don't know. A doctor can help me identify that, right? Through a Q&A process, right? So the point is the entire process becomes very important, right? From setting the goal, exploration to awareness and action, all 7 and 8 included, which will enable the client to move towards the direction. And last point, I always say that this is a journey for the client. So don't look at every session, is it paisa vasool? No, it doesn't work that way. Coaching doesn't work that way. So be ready for the marathon, for the 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months that you sign up. And somewhere midway we'll review the progress. And if there is no progress, anyway, you have an option to exit. Of course, for me, before the client thinks of exit, I want to exit, right? I'm also, that is a salesman in me. So to that extent, bringing the whole focus on the journey with an action orientation will help the client to move forward. And I just go after the client to ensure that happens. That's it. You're on mute. You're on mute, Sunny.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much, Subash. And yeah, that answers that question end to end. And I think just to kind of wrap up, so for coaches who are on their coaching journey, or who might be even in the beginning of their journey, where do you think, PK, maybe you could take this question, where do you think they need to focus? Is it like deepening the mastery, or is it, first figuring out their business practice, or do they juggle between the two? What's your take on that?
How would you drive a car? When you take it, you have a destination in mind, right? So you navigate the roads. At the same time, you drive well without hitting anyone or without hitting any other vehicle. and without a smooth journey for people who are inside. Which is important? Driving the car well is important, or driving through the proper roads without violating the law is important.
Definitely without violating the law, I would think. Yeah.
And is driving the car also important?
Yes, of course. Driving the car well.
So your question is something like that, which is more important. I mean, I don't think any one of them is more important, Lavanya. Both are equally important to serve the purpose, whether for you or for the client. For you, what is your purpose? Your purpose is to engage in something that is psychologically stimulating and something that rings your bank account, right? That is your purpose, right? And his purpose is what? His purpose is to get benefit of your craft and your service. So for both of you, you will do well if we address both these things together. There is no question of one over the other. Coaching skills or building the business of coaching. There is no or in between. It is an and. It is like two sides of the same coin. In order to be legal tender, both the sides of the coins should contain what it contains. And your coaching skills is definitely non-compromisable. You need to be at best. And business of coaching you cannot ignore. Then there is no business. Being a good coach is of no avail, I'm telling you. Being a great coach can get you some certificate for which you pay. Whether it is ACC, PCC, MCC, you pay. But if someone needs to pay you, they need to find you relevant.
Yeah.
So there is no way you can escape business of coaching. And being a good coach is not good enough to be commercially successful. To be commercially successful, you need to be a great coach and you need to be visible to people. Otherwise, what is the point?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm just going to pause here. I know we are at time, but I want to ask the audience, do you have any other questions? Just let me check the chat in case there are any questions there.
There are no questions. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Subash and PK. It was a very valuable conversation, and thank you so much, everybody, for your presence. I'm truly grateful for your time and presence, and I hope you have a lot to take back and reflect on. And for those of you who are interested, Coaching Unlimited, the next 9th edition of it is happening between April 23rd and 26th. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
And I have put, Lavanya, I have put my phone number and my email ID. So anyone wants to reach out for any further, anything, they are open to do so. And I have just given my coordinates.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, PK.
Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah,
Thank
you. Thank you, Lavanya.
Bye.
Thank you,
Sure.
Subash. See you.
Bye.
Bye.